Hey guys, and welcome back to Unified Gaming. Now if this is your first time here, and you enjoy watching ESO gameplay, seeing new builds, or just want to get better at ESO itself, then start by subscribing now and clicking the bell so you don't miss anything. Welcome to the Lightbringer version 2. This is a Magicka Templar PVP build for the Dragonhold patch, and I feel it's incredibly strong. It has insane damage, ridiculously high sustain, and it's very tanky. It's probably the strongest magplar that I've played to date, and that's saying something as I've played the game for nearly 4 years. Like with all of my builds, it works in battlegrounds, CP Cyrodiil, no CP Cyrodiil, as well as duels. You have probably noticed by now that the video is looking slightly different. I have since redesigned my layout to show more content, as well as give you the information easier, quicker and clearer. So let me know what you think. And if it is a popular style, I'll continue to do videos in this style going forward, even if they do take me a little longer. As for the layout, I'll run through the skills, gear, CP etc, and there'll be on-screen prompts on the left black side. The footage will be on the right. I would recommend watching the entire video today. It's only short and I would hate for you to miss anything key. And if you are new here and you haven't done so already, then subscribe by clicking the on-screen button now, as I post regular ESO content including PvP builds. Now with that said guys, we're going to jump straight in. As for our race, you can go as a Breton or a High Elf. High Elf for me is probably the best option. Great damage, more max magicka, and you also take less damage when you do channeled abilities. That works on your jabs as well as your beam. All in all, High Elf personally is best, but Breton can work, just put on an extra spell damage glyph. Alternatively, you could go as a Dark Elf and that will work relatively okay. Things like Argonian and Nord are also viable options, but you will need to change the glyphs a little bit more and even the Munderstone, but they can be made to work. As for our skills, we are running Puncher and Sweep. This is our spammable, fully buffed up, it goes to 4200. That's without continuous attack, so it hits really hard. We then have Toppling Charge as a gap closer and a stun. This is a really strong skill, so definitely have this slotted. We use Purify and Light as our delayed burst ability. Treat this like Haunting Curse if you play Sorcerer, or Deep Fissure if you play Warden. We use Elemental Drain for Major Breach, reducing the armour, and it gives us sustain as well, so really worth having this skill on. We use Radiant Oppression. This is an execute that tracks people through roll dodge, so it's a really great counter to stamina classes. This can be changed though to a skill of your choosing. As for our ultimate, we use Crescent Sweep. This is ridiculously strong and it's instant cast. I would highly recommend running this skill over any other ultimate, unless you go with a 2H and use Onslaught. On the back bar, we are using Channeled Focus. This is our armor buff, and it also gives us extra magicka sustain as well. We have Honor the Dead as a burst heal that also pays for most of itself, so definitely worth having this morph. We use Degeneration as a dot, but it's mainly here for the major sorcery. If you get major sorcery from a potion, you can change this to a skill of your choosing. Race Against Time is a good option, or Mist Form. We use Vampire's Bane as a dot, but this procs Major Prophecy and it also gives us minor sorcery thanks to the Templar passives. We then have Extended Ritual as a cleanse, a heal over time, so this is a great skill, and on top of that it snares enemies who walk into it, so it's a good getaway button. Simply put this down and move out the way and people will find it hard to chase you. As for the back bar ultimate, that is personal preference. I really like Remembrance as it's a great burst heal for both you and your team. If you had a Restoration staff, you could use the Restoration Ultimate, or you could go with Temporal Guard for a bit more bulk, but we do have access to Minor Protection already, so it's not needed. As I said, the Bat Bar ult is up to you. Bat Swarm is also a nice ult if you want. As for the gear guys, we are running Bloodspawn as our monster set. This can be changed to any other defensive set if you want. Shadow Rend is great for duels. Our Bloodspawn is light armor. We have a light helmet and a light shoulder. Tri-stat on the helmet, magicka on the shoulder. The other sets we are running are New Moon. We have a heavy New Moon chest, Tri-stat glyph, a medium new moon legs, tri-stack glyph, a light new moon sash, magicka glyph, and then we have a new moon front bar. I use a lightning staff if I use elemental drain, or I use a 2H greatsword if I use onslaught. Now on the front bar you want to have a berserker enchantment, increasing your spell damage further. As for the other sets, we are running Shrouds of the Lich, we have Shoes of Lich, Gloves of Lich, and one piece Lich jewellery. And on the back bar we have a Sword of Lich and a Shield of Lich. That can be a Lich restoration staff if you want the restoration ultimate. The enchantment on the shield does need to be magicka, and you can use any glyph you want on the back bar for the sword or a poison. The escapist poison is definitely worth looking into. This then allows us to have 2 free pieces on our jewellery. Now I would recommend having Blessing of Potentius. This gives us extra bulk, making us nice and tanky, but you could go with willpower for even more damage. That is personal preference. With this armour configuration, on the front bar we have 5 New Moon active and 3 Lich, with 2 Blessing of Potentius and our monster set. And on the back bar we have 5 Lich active, 3 New Moon, 2 Potentius and 2 Bloodspawn. This means our defensive sets, Potentius and Bloodspawn, are always on when we need them. The damage from New Moon is on the front bar only, we don't need it on the back bar, and the regen from Lich is on the back bar, which we can take forward to the front bar. So that's the gear, guys. Rewatch the part if you need to, they're on the screen on the left. As with the CP, guys, I have min-maxed the CP. They're on the left on the screen now, so pause it, rewatch it so you don't miss it. Now for our consumables, I run tri-stat food. Any tri-stat food is absolutely fine. And then for the potions, I run either tri-stat potions or Essence of Immovability, giving us CC immunity, health back and magicka. They're probably the strongest potions you can get for a magicka class. As for our Munderstone, you can run either the Atronach if you need more sustain, or the Apprentice for more damage. I go between the 2 of them depending on what I'm doing. Battlegrounds, I use more sustain. CP Cyrodiil, I use spell damage. Now I am a vampire on this build for more sustain and the Undeath passive. It also gives us access to Mistform for the open world Cyrodiil, which is very helpful, and we can drop our Radiant Oppression if we need to have that mobility that we would lack otherwise. As for tips, guys, when you go to do your Honour of the Dead, so thinking defensively, you always want to cast your armour buff, which is really cheap, called Channeled Focus. This gives us magicka for being down, so it's good to keep it up, but it gives us minor mending, which then gives us a bigger heal on Honour of the Dead. This means we get more heal from it, so we don't have to spam it as often as we would if we didn't have this buff. If you're being pressured by a few people and you have things to run around, I would recommend, instead of doing the Channeled Focus, go for Extended Ritual, which will get rid of all their negative effects. It will put a big snare on the floor, allowing you to go around the corner quicker, and then do Honour the Dead. You will still get your minor mending, so those are 2 options in how to maximise that there. When you go offensive, you want to put your Channel Focus down to get some armour and some magicka sustain. You then go Vampire's Bane, Degeneration, Bar Swap. When you get to the front bar, you then go Purifying Light, Elemental Drain, Toppling Charge. At this point, all of the dots from Degeneration and Vampire's Bane would have started to fill up Purifying Light. The Toppling Charge will then stun them, and you can then jab them and do your ultimate, which will then kill them. If for some reason they don't die, you then do your Radiant Oppression, and as most people naturally roll dodge when they're really low health, this will track them through roll dodge, meaning they cannot block this and they will die really, really fast. If you don't have your ultimate ready, you can still do the same combination. Vampire's Bane, Degeneration, Purifying Light, Elemental Drain. Then you do your Toppling Charge into jabs. You might then need to do jabs 2 times, then you do your Execute. That will kill most people really fast. All in all, magplar is a really strong class to play this patch. Now this is how I play and what I enjoy doing with the class. It works for me. If it doesn't work for you, mix up the skills a bit. The main part is the skills. The gear is really solid. And with that said, guys, I'm going to wrap the video up there. As I said, they're much shorter this time, so let me know what you think. And if you haven't done so already, then make sure you subscribe by clicking the subscribe button and turn on the bell notification so you don't miss any of my future content, including PvP builds. And with that said, guys, I'll catch you in the next one. So take care, and thanks for watching. Bye.